There's a classic country song by John Denver called Thank God I'm a Country Boy. More recently, another country song, I think by Jason Aldean, says Try That in a Small Town. Kind of a commentary on social unrest that's going on in big cities in recent years, and he's singing about try that in a small town and it's not going to go over too well for you. And it's kind of a anthem about the superiority of life and the superior moral fiber of people in small towns as opposed to people who live in big cities. So why am I mentioning this? Well, I spent most of my life living in the suburbs of Grand Rapids, Michigan, which, kind of a bigger town. Some people might laugh to consider it a big town because certainly it's not as big as other more famous cities like Chicago or New York or LA or even Detroit or Philadelphia. But about 3 years ago, my family and I moved to Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And compared to where we're living now, Grand Rapids, Michigan was definitely a big town. And it's certainly a big change in the way of life up here as opposed to down there. And the other day, my wife and I were watching the news, and there was some protests going on in some city. And then the next report was about crime going on in some big city. And both her and I found ourselves talking and thinking to ourselves, it's a good thing we moved up here to a far more rural area and have gotten away from the big cities where that stuff goes on. And I couldn't help but thinking about it later on, about that being a form of pride. Looking at our life here in the country and thinking that makes us somehow better or even better off than people in bigger cities, more urban areas. And certainly there are big differences in the way of life, way we live our lives as opposed to people in big cities. But still, that's a form of pride because I can't help but think no matter who we are, no matter where we're coming from, we are all still sinners in need of the saving grace of Christ. Whether it's a big city or a small country town like Newberry, Michigan, or extremely rural like where we are right now, we all are all sinners in need of grace. And we are all the same people created in God's image. Just a little thought, a word for Wednesday. Something you can think about wherever you are. Do you take pride in where you are? Do you take pride in where you're from? Do you think that being from the country or living in a rural environment somehow makes you superior to those living in urban areas? Or you can even turn that around. Do you think that living in an urban area is somehow going to make you more sophisticated and better than those who live in the rural areas? It's all a source of pride. And it all comes out to nothing in the end. The only thing that matters in the end is what you do with Jesus Christ. So thanks for joining me for this Word for Wednesday. This is a ministry of Lakefield Baptist Church, and I'll talk to you next time.